morning.
Good morning.
Bear with me for a little bit. Give you a heads up on a couple things before I start. One, in Sunday school this morning we started talking about heaven and hell. So needless to say, I'm exhausted. Oh, it was a good class though. And two, a lot of times when I get the opportunity to do this or teach, I like to give you guys an opportunity to write stuff down. And so if you want to take a moment to get a pen or anything like that, that'd be good. Let's open up with prayer. I always like to start with prayer because I need it, so let's pray. Lord, thank you for this day. Thank you for the opportunity to share your word this morning. And my prayer, Father, is that it is exactly that, your word, not mine. This is what I like to pray every time before I get the chance to do this, that this is none of me and all of you. And I pray for everybody here today. I pray that we all leave here feeling a little bit closer to you. And just thank you for everything you do for us. And most of all, thank you for Jesus. It's in his name I pray. Amen. All right. This morning, I wanted to tell you guys a little bit about a book I read this past summer. Now, that's a big deal for me. And some of you are probably thinking, no big deal. Some of you probably read a lot. Some of you probably read several books a month. Some of you probably read more than one book a week. I don't. But the fact that this past summer I picked up a book and started on page 1 and read through the whole thing is a big deal for me. And to show you guys that, I put together a little presentation to show you just a little, just so you understand, to show you a little bit of some of the books I've read. And some of these are more recent than you think. So, well, that's the book I want to talk about this morning. We'll get to that. All right? The Bible. I have to, put that in there. I haven't read the whole thing, to be honest. But I hear it's got a really good ending. So, don't spoil it for me. But that's not supposed to be in there. Next slide. Clifford, The Amazing Tales, great literature here. Nate the Great, okay? Nate the Great is the man. He's a mystery expert. If you don't know anything about Nate the Great, go to the library tomorrow and check it out. I don't know what section it would be in, but it's a book, it counts, that was a good one. I had to read that, had to, The toughest book I've ever read, being honest. He is a master of disguise. All right. But to be honest with you, most of the books I've read in my life have been read to me by this man. Okay? Some of you understand what I'm talking about. So thank you, Colin, for that. I want to take a little bit to thank Colin and Philip. I feel like they are the unsung heroes of our worship service every Sunday. Thank you guys for that. We can clap for them. Colin said something a few weeks ago I thought was just hilarious, and it was true, and it wasn't in negativity or anything, but he said something. He said, Philip and I are like referees. We go unnoticed until we make a mistake. It is so true, because I sit in the back because I like it back there, and I see everybody, and it's the funniest thing because as soon as there's one word messed up on the screen, I watch, and little by little, everybody slowly. It is so funny to me. But thank you guys for all you do. So you get the point. I don't read a lot. I probably should, but I don't. But this summer I read a book called Gods at War. And it just really impacted my faith a great deal. And, we went to the beach and last summer, and Megan and her family, and they all read at the beach. I don't. I'm usually the ones aggravating the people reading. But I started reading this book, I couldn't put it down. And the book is about idolatry. And That's something I've never really thought about in my life, idolatry. And what exactly is it? And the definition of idolatry is this: the worship of idols or excessive devotion to or reverent or for some person or thing. And I also read that an idol is anything that replaces the one true God. The most prevalent form of idolatry in Bible times was the worship of images that were thought to embody the various pagan deities. Okay? So if you want to write this down actually. Simply put, idolatry is anything that takes the place of God in our lives. In the title of the book, God's at War, he's meaning these lowercase g gods that battle for our heart, that battle for our devotion to God. And that's what he's meaning. Now, the Bible talks about idolatry a ton. Just as a whole, it may not always say the word idol or idolatry, but it is in there a lot. And one of my favorite scriptures about it comes from my favorite book of the Bible, which is Romans. And I don't have it on the screen or anything, but if you want to write this down, it's Romans chapter 1, verse 25. If you want to go back and read it later. And it says this. It says, they traded the truth about God for a lie. So they worship and serve the things God created instead of the Creator himself, who is worthy of eternal praise. Think about that. Don't we do that a lot? Doesn't this world do that a lot? We ignore the Creator, but worship the creation. That's so backwards. It's just twisted, And it's important to understand, in our life, we as people we're made to worship something. It's in our DNA. It's in, we are made to worship something. That's just how it is. Okay? And we will worship either God or something else. So understand that we are made to worship something. So what can become an idol? Really anything if we let it. If we, lose focus on God and start paying attention to other things, anything can really become an idol. So I wanted to talk about a few things that the book kind of has a whole different sections about what can become an idol. One of them is money. Money can definitely become an idol. What happens is, instead of relying on God, we start relying on money. It's important to understand that money is not a bad thing, but the Bible says the love of money is the root of all evil. Notice that, the love of money. It's important to know. But money can be an idol. Another thing can be our jobs. Things we do for a living can become idols. Our jobs are just that, to provide a living, to provide for us. But it's important to understand that God is our ultimate provider. When we take Him out of the picture and make our jobs and stuff like that, and things we do, our idol, we're forgetting Him, the ultimate provider. Now, this next one that I put down is a big one for me. Our hobbies. The things we like to do. The things we like to do for fun can sometimes take over our lives in the place of God. And I've been guilty of this several times in my life. And if you don't mind, I'd like to share a couple stories that further explain that. My biggest hobby, two of my biggest hobbies, is I'm a huge sports fan. A lot of you know that. Okay? And I'm a massive Red Sox fan. Alright? Out of everything, all my sports teams, all my other hobbies, everything is like right here, but the Red Sox are like right there. I love the Red Sox, okay? And this past year, they made the playoffs. And I was so happy. And the whole time they were in the playoffs, I was just so involved in it. And I was really passionate about it. I didn't miss a game. I don't think I missed a pitch, to be honest with you. It's kind of funny. I told Megan before the playoffs started, I said, listen, you've never been around me when the Red Sox were playing championship. It's not pretty sometimes. I get a little out there. And my dad warned her, and but we made it. It's good. But I was so passionate about it, and I just get caught up in it. I can't help it. I love to watch baseball. I love to watch sports, and my favorite sports team to watch is the Red Sox. Okay, and I always have to remind myself that in the big picture, it's not that big a deal. It's not. It's a fun thing to be a part of, but it's not a big deal. For example, okay, and if this doesn't make sense, I apologize, but this is, how I have to tell myself things. All right. They won the World Series this year. We were so happy. It was such a great thing. But what really changed in my life? Nothing. Did it really make a big difference in my life? No. So if this was an idol, I'm not necessarily saying it was. If I was worshiping this, I would be left unsatisfied because nothing really changed. The only thing that changed was I got a new T-shirt. That's it. So you guys want to read that for a little. See, so sometimes we have to look at the big picture and ask ourselves, what really matters? Just like me with that. What really changes if my favorite sports team wins? It's a great thing. I love it, but it doesn't really change anything. It doesn't affect me much, So we have to be careful that these things in our life that we like to do, they're not bad things. They're really good things, but they can become idols. They can take place of God. Another thing I love is movies. Colin always makes fun of me about it, but I love to collect movies, all right? And I told this story a few years ago when I was preaching, but I didn't tell the story right, so it made no sense whatsoever. I went home and was like, that made no sense whatsoever, so I'm going to tell it again, all right? Bear with me. It might take a while because I might tell it wrong again, But I started collecting movies. I've always been a collector. And I enjoy it. It's fun. I have an entertainment center and all that, it's a hobby, like I said. And I had gotten a lot of movies for Christmas, and Megan had got me some, and, I had them all on my shelf, and I knew where they were. I had them in like a category of genre and all that nerd stuff. But I'll never forget one day, I came in to church. I don't know if I was coming in to pick up something or I was coming to work. I don't know. I'm here a lot. You never know. But I walked through that door, and if you remember right there, the mailboxes are right there. As soon as you walk through that door, you see it. And I have a mailbox in there that says youth on it. And I walked through the door, and I saw in my mailbox that my Bible was sitting up there. And I just stopped, and I had so much conviction come over me. I was sitting there, thinking, I've just been spending a lot of time on just things that weren't that important. My hobbies, collecting movies, whatever. Wasting some time, you know how it is. And I just sit there and thought, if somebody asked me where one of my movies were, or where one of my Red Sox t-shirts were, or anything like that, I know I'd be able to tell you exactly where it was. But my Bible has been here. And I think, if I remember correctly, I had been away for a week or so. But my Bible had been here for a long period of time, and I didn't even know it. Think about that. The greatest thing I own is this Bible. And same for you too. Everything, out of all of our possessions, this is the best thing we own. This comes from the hand of God to us. And because maybe I had created these other idols or just put God aside, it was here, not in I didn't have it, and I didn't realize it. That's wrong.